Imagine having so much wealth, so much geopolitical reach, that Earth itself is no longer enough. That owning super yachts, football clubs, or even cities doesn't satisfy you anymore. You start looking up toward the stars and wonder, what if I could own a piece of the moon? This isn't science fiction. This is the true story of Gulf royalty quietly moving to claim rights, real estate, and influence beyond Earth's atmosphere. This is Desert Billionaires, and today we expose how one prince is trying to rewrite the rules of space ownership. It started quietly. A private investment arm tied to a Gulf royal, discreetly registered in Luxembourg and backed by sovereign wealth, began acquiring shares in several new space companies. These weren't just any aerospace startups. They specialized in lunar mapping, space mining, and resource extraction on celestial bodies. Most notably, a company developing proprietary technology to locate water-rich craters on the moon's south pole, the same region NASA and China are racing to reach. Why is this important? Because according to the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, no nation can claim sovereignty over the moon. But private entities? That's a legal gray zone. And where there's gray, there's gold. Or in this case, helium-3, a rare isotope believed to be abundant on the moon, and potentially the fuel source for next-generation nuclear fusion. The Gulf prince in question, whose identity remains protected through layers of shell companies and diplomatic immunity, saw what others missed. The moon is no longer symbolic. It's strategic. Through a mixture of tech investments, legal maneuvering, and quiet diplomacy, his team began laying the groundwork for future lunar operations. Not exploration, ownership. He backed a company developing robotic landers that could plant corporate flags. He funded researchers working on legal frameworks to establish extraterrestrial economic zones. And most shockingly, he acquired exclusive rights to lease orbital real estate from a now-defunct U.S. satellite firm that once claimed geostationary positions over the moon's equator. Critics called it delusional. But then came the breakthrough. In 2027, a startup partially funded by his holding company launched a successful moon orbiter, one that began scanning specific mineral deposits in Shackleton Crater. Weeks later, confidential documents leaked revealing a proposed joint venture between the Prince's Fund and a Chinese aerospace agency. Their goal? Deploy a semi-permanent lunar outpost with exclusive access to mining sites. In exchange, China would gain rights to build infrastructure using Gulf financing. Suddenly, it wasn't so delusional anymore. So why does a Gulf royal want to buy the moon? Because it's not just about minerals, it's about power. Imagine being the first individual, not nation, to hold commercial rights to extraterrestrial resources. It means you can charge companies to mine, license landing pads, control lunar bandwidth, host space tourism, even influence military logistics in the next era of space warfare. And in classic Gulf fashion, it's not just business, it's legacy. Just like their ancestors built empires in the desert with camels and caravans, today's princes are building futures with rockets and sovereign wealth. Of course, the West is paying attention. The U.S. State Department has quietly raised concerns about sovereign overreach in outer space. The European Space Agency has proposed stricter frameworks. But enforcement is another matter. After all, who controls the moon's police? In the Gulf, they understand one thing better than most: first mover advantage. The first to build wins. The first to fund defines the rules. The first to land owns the game. This prince may not legally own the moon, but he's already funding the robots, leasing the landing zones, and securing influence with agencies that can get him there. Whether you call it visionary or imperialistic, one thing is clear. The space race is no longer just about nations. It's about dynasties. This is Desert Billionaires. Hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories of power, wealth, and influence. See you in the next episode.